We came from Sertã. It's a small town in the middle of Portugal, and we are trying here to bring you a presentation concerning two aspects of our life. In the first part, we intend to show you the national politics and our national goals and what are we doing in national terms. At the end of our presentation, we will try to show what are we doing in Sertã concerning this issue. And before we start, we have a little bit difficult with English. We ask to all the participants to excuse us if we have the problem with English, and I hope you can understand all this question. I will try to make the presentation. My name is Paulo. And
my name is Antonio. Good morning, everybody. Yes, we are talking about Portugal and Sertã. We are trying to explain so better like we can, because our English are not perfect, but we're trying to improve. We are talking about serious question, everybody knows that. We are talking about future and present, of course, but about future. And maybe some practice you are taking now are not in the right directions, because the evolution of the humanity can show at certain times we are not in good direction, but certainly we are trying to do our best in Europe, in the world, in Portugal, in Sertã also. So we are trying to show you what we are doing to plan in the future in Portugal and Sertã. Please, Bob.
Okay, first of all, we are showing some projects that we are developing in Portugal. You can pass the slide. Next one. This is not okay. Some important projects, and the next project that you can see in this slide. Can you pass one more? It's one of the first largest photovoltaic park that we have. In fact, in Portugal, it's the biggest in the year of its construction. At 2008, it was the largest in the world. This is a solar park. It's in Amareleja. It's a little town of the south of Portugal. It's the place with the most hours of sunshine, warm and more open sky hours. That's why we choose this place, and that's why we are doing this experience. Nowadays, we are renewing the photovoltaic panels for better technology to produce more energy in the same space. As you can see, in 2008, with 250 hectares, we are only producing 46 megawatts. Okay? And with the technology that exists today, we can multiply that production in the same area. That's what we are doing right now in this park. Right now, this is not the biggest in the world, but in the construction year, it was the biggest in the world. One of our other projects
are the offshore wind energy. It's a new project in Portugal. In the world, a lot of countries are trying to do the improvement of this kind of power plants energy. With EDP, our national producer of energy, and with the company Innov Capital, they are making a power plant in the shipyard, the dock, and we build it, and it is the first in the world that you don't require any heavy equipment to transport it to the offshore. So it's a very interesting measure. We don't need, I said it before, we don't need cranes to move it, so it's always very expensive to transport this kind of materials. And You can see, if you can pass
one
more slide, you can see the transport. We made it in Figueira da Foz port, and we transported for 200 kilometers by the sea. And it's situated around 8 kilometers from the coast. This is the first one, but we are building now more 10, I think. And we will try to deal with this kind of things in the future with other countries also.
Yes, this is innovation in Portugal, because it's easier to transport, it's cheaper the transport, and the maintenance is also quite easy. You don't have to go 100 miles to go to maintenance of this power plant, of this turbine. And you can pass. Here we have our national dam program. This is the dams that we intend to build between the years of 2007 and 2020. We have 10 dams to build, but in Portugal, this is the kind of renewable energy that we produce more. For example, we will see it later. In Sertã, we have 3 big dams, and we produce this kind of energy since the 50s. Okay? One of the dams, we will see that later. We have the pleasure to have the RETS partner to visit inside the dam. Okay? You can pass one more slide, and we will show you some data about our national production and our national position in the European context, just to understand all we are talking about in here. For example, Portugal, in this kind of production, wind power and photovoltaic power, we are quite in the top of Europe. And if you compare this production to what we need, because we are a small country, this production is much more than you can see in the board. For example, we are number 5 with wind energy, but if we compare with our consumption, because the first 4 are big countries, and they are a big consumption, and we have not such a consumption in Portugal. So, no problem. That's Hungarian. Okay. And we have this production on wind power, the photovoltaic power, but we have 2 problems with it. Photovoltaic energy in Portugal is not so developed as we like it, because we have a lot of sun hour, and we think we can increase more this production. Otherwise, the wind power it's quite good, because we intend to pay the rents for the producers, to make their own investments, and to get the fee a few years sooner. And best
wait, 1 second. Photovoltaic, tehát akkor ez a napenergia, Portugália, Magyarország pedig, aki nem látja, itt vagyunk, 0,8, Portugália is 360, ez pedig 360.
Yes, we are talking about sun, isn't it?
We're talking about 2009, because this is the column of 2009. For example, Hungarian, it's a growing of 25%.
Yes.
And we have the same growth in Portugal, 160 to 200. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No, your card? Okay. So we have 2 more sources. We can pass one more. 2 more sources. The solar thermal. Okay. So and the hydropower.
Solar
Thermal, but it's not for producing energy. It's to get heat.
Okay. Ez hőtermelés, ugye, tehát naphőtermelés, Magyarország itt van, Románia előtt.
And this is the small hydropower, but the small dams.
Ez pedig víz.
Because in the next...
Do you have anyone?
Yes, the big dams. Okay, you can press one more.
Okay.
No, I want to say one thing about the solar. we have a very big potential, of course. Portugal is a sunny country, isn't it? So we expect a lot of improvement in that kind of energy. Like in small hydropower power plants also. There are tools, because in wind production we are almost in the country, we are almost full of it. So that's why we show you before that new technology to bring the power plants to the sea. In the sea, if we count the sea with the country and our islands, we are in the 10th countries, the biggest countries in the world. So we have a lot of potential in the sea and with sun also. So our work must be in that direction, of course.
The next slide.
Biomass? Biomass is okay?
Okay, this is biomass. This is we are starting with biomass a few years ago. We have not biomass power plants for long days. Yes, Hungary is nearby. And that kind of energy, geothermal, we just have the bottom of the table because we produce a very small kind of geothermal energy comparing to Hungarian. Okay. We are not.
Hungary is here.
Yeah, Hungary is much higher position than Portugal. Okay, this is another. Yes. This is another. And the national. In the next one, we are this kind of actions that's what we are trying to do. Get down our energy dependence. That's our main focus. Okay, we should become less dependent from the exterior than we are in now. In 2005, we depend from the exterior of energy about 90%. And our goal is 2020, 74%. We will see that later. We can decrease that dependence with two kinds of actions. One is to produce energy from renewable sources, and the other one is to consume less energy. Okay. You can see we are producing almost 28,000 in 2010. Okay. In the otherwise, the energy import is decreasing. Okay, that's our main focus. And in 2020, we must produce about 31% of our energy should become from the energy in 2020. Not 20%, 31%. That's our goal. It's about 50% up of the normal goal in all Europe.
And for our ego, it's important to read that phrase here. The investments in renewable energy in recent years have made Portugal a world reference in this area. So, to hit regards wind energy. So, you know, we are crossing a very hard crisis in Portugal, and one of one of good examples and one of our direction goes to is production of our own energy. So we must make this phrase like a lima, you see, like our reference.
We don't have oil, or we don't have anything to
for now.
And next one, you can see the power generation total from renewable sources in Portugal. Okay. From hydropower, big dams, we produce almost half of the total of renewable sources. Without that, we intend to achieve in 2020 the 31%. Without that big dams, because that's an important target in Portugal. Okay? And this production is very important to us to get less dependence, as I said, but also to save some money. And to make one other thing that you can see in the next one, it's our contribution to CO2 CO2 emissions. Okay, to reduce this one. For example, you can see that with the wind we can save about 789 tons. Okay, it's a lot in 2010. That's what we intend to do in these years, and that's what we have been doing in these years. Otherwise, you can pass to one slide more and one more. Okay, this is gross production. This is almost the same data, and again, but we have a great problem with this growth because we grow so fast. With the rent that the state pays to the producers. Okay, you pay the rent to the producer can make his own investment, and he will get money much faster than he can if there is no rent. And for example, the bill that you receive in home in 2011, 42% of this bill is for the rent. Okay? And we intend to reduce that this year to 25%. This is a huge in our national budget. Okay? Because if you must pay in your bill 42% for the rent, for example, for each 10 euros, 4 euros, it's for the rent. It's not what are you consuming. Okay? You are paying for the ones that make the investments. And it's our change of politics in national terms. We will try to, of course, you should produce energy about renewable sources. That's quite easy to tell. But the production must be efficient, and you must generate your own profits. You must be efficient without rents, because we don't want to pay in our bill the rents that you are going to receive. In this time, we are changing this kind of politics to reducing the consumption and getting better.
That's the big question now in Portugal. Reduce our invoice of building constructions and the energy invoice. This is a very good business for the big companies, not for the consumers. So with our example, you can see it in the future here in Hungary also. We must be careful with it, because otherwise we are going to arrest the new generations in the future. So this is very complicated, because the people, like Paulo says, pay 42% in his bill and per month for the new productions, you see, of energy. That means we import, we have thermic energy like coal, but the wind, the biomass, and the wind, it costs us like, I'm going to give you a number. Imagine we pay per kilowatt 30 cents. That's an example, not so far. But for biomass, we give to the company 97 cents. That's amazing. For the wind, 60 or 61. For the wind, and I forgot, biomass, wind, and the solar. Solar is expensive also, because we are trying to improve that. But we pay around 56 cents. So the difference between the price of energy is going to be paid by the consumer. So we must reduce substantially the price of the rents from the state and the consumer to the big company. Otherwise, we must maintain our target to produce our own energy. We know we must take that risk for the moment, but now we are fighting very hard to reduce that. This is the question, and that's why we are not so focused in produce energy at the moment, but go in the direction of the efficiency energy. You see, we are trying to spend more capacity in reducing that so much spend of energy, and not pay so much in producing that. So it's a different ways. One way we produce, another way we must make the consumption in the right direction, yes.
Okay, you can see we pay 2.45 billion euros per year in rents. And this amount, 0.75 is for energy, renewable energies. And this 0.75, a half billion is for the turbines, for the wind energy. It's a lot of money to produce energy in Portugal. Okay?
He talks about this.
Yeah. Okay, you can pass one more slide. This is our biggest problem right now. You can pass one more. And this is our objective of our national strategy for energy. As I said to you, reduce the Portuguese energy dependence from the exterior to 74% in 2020. Okay? This is our target. You have seen before, in 2005, we are about 90%. Second one, achieve the targets achieved by Portugal in the scope of the UA action against climate change, meaning the 60% of the electricity produced in Portugal will be renewable, and that the consumption of final energy will be reduced by 20% in 2020. Okay? We passed a lot the target assumed for everybody for production, but in the consumption, we just intend to get the target and the point. Yes, okay. Reducing the energy of the 25% balance with the trade of the exterior, and so on. You can read that after in our presentation, but that's our commitment. And now we intend to go to, okay, you can pass one more slide. This is we intend to make our national action plan about two things. I'm sorry for this presentation is in Portuguese. It's about technology measures, innovation, for example, and comportamental innovations that we think it's a lot of important. It's sensibilization, information, and formation. The new generation must know what are we talking about and change these comportments. You can change one. This is of the variable instruments in the agriculture and industry sectors. Replacing of discharge lamps and fluorescent lamps. That's another project. You can pass one more. And that's some financial possibilities that we have in Portugal to achieve these goals. And now, this is Sertã, a small village, a small interior village. And what are we doing about this also? You can pass one more. As you can see, Sertã is right in the middle of Portugal and right in the middle of its own region. Okay? It's one of the biggest of this region with almost 16,000 inhabitants. We are altogether a very, very small region because it's a lot of country only for 172 million inhabitants. And one more. Our strategy is about this sustainable development with four bases: environment, economy, society, and knowledge and innovation. And these four bases, we use our all resources that we have in our municipality to achieve them. And we study these four bases in some documents that we have in the next one slide. For example, our action plan for the forest, our local agent, our strategic development plan that we have made, our recycling plan, and our sustainable report. This is the document that we've been studying for the past years, and now we are changing our PDM, our national way of territory. And one more slide. This is the dams that I've told to you before. This is the biggest one. It's from the year of 1951. It's a lot of years, about 60 years. And we have three of these. This is from the way of the river, the Zeza River, from Sertã to Lisbon, our national capital. Before this, we have another one that you can pass. It's Castelo de Bode Dam. It's also one. Bolsão Dam. This is also a big dam, and the left side of the river of this dam is always in Sertã municipality. Okay, this is a smaller, and this is Cabril Dam that the partners, the REDS partners, have visit this one. Okay. So you can see that in Sertã we are producing energy about renewable sources since the 50s, 60 years of renewables in Sertã, and a lot of years without any move, and then we can start again in 2000, almost 45 years after we start with wind energy. This is our first park. We have 4 more parks working right now to produce this kind of energy. And in the 2 years ago, we make one more source, our biomass power plant. That is a local company that win that license to the national companies and start to produce the energy about biomass. You can see it's 11 billion euros of investment of its own money and the money of the Sertã company. It's for us it's important because we are very small inhabitants. You can see the way it works in the next slide. Okay. It's quite simple. We burn the biomass and then we get a turbine that get the energy to the network. And the biomass that we use, it's in the next slide, because, can pass one more, because we are a big region of forest, and to clean the forest, this cleaning issue, we get to the biomass power plant and we are producing energy with it. So António will give you
one more. This is our geothermal energy experience, so it's not nothing comparing with you, but you can pass. Yes, this is a nursery home, and in the last picture you can see we are trying to have the heating for the winter, and we try to have the fresh water to the summer, because in Portugal the summer is very strong, 40-45 degrees. We have a very high amplitude between the minimum temperature in the winter and the maximum temperature in the summer. So this is what are we trying to do? Indeed, this is in our municipality. This is in Castelo. So it's just an experience. I said before, it's nothing comparing. Peter is on phone. But when we give you a good example from Portugal, and not so good for the Hungary, and for this specific issue is completely different, of course. But we see what we can do in the future.
This is another thing that we are doing in our municipality. For example, this is our swimming pool. We have recently put 96 solar panels in the roof of this swimming pool, and we decrease our gas consumption to a half. Now we use half of gas that we used before these investments. Okay. The swimming pool's got 2 tanks, and one competition tank and one tank smaller with for learning, a learning tank. And now we are making a gym and fitness center in also in this building. And we will use this energy to heat the water and to heat the climate in this swimming pool. Yes, you can pass. It's some data additional about this building. It's 96 solar panels in the roof of this municipality building, and we will start with another initiative in the next move. Okay, we have a project approved to change our lamps on the public lighting and to reduce that consumption, and to action for regulation point to point also to reduce the consumption of public lighting.
So you can see the difference between the production before and the reducing of the consumption. So yes, the efficiency, yes, the efficiency. So we are two concerns now at the moment. In good practices, we are trying to build a mini hydropower power plant in Pinhel, in another concelho belongs to this project in Reds. They have a very nice example of this, and we think we can manage it in next few years. We are trying to. Can you pass, please?
One of the big problems is the money. We are without money, so the companies have
money.
no money to get the investment, but we think we will get the solution in the...
Yes, specifically you can see in the map, we try to have the water 1.5 kilometers, more or less. We made the dam, and after that we have the turbine. But we are trying to make an improvement in this project to make a tank to pump the water during the night. You see, you produce during the day, and we have a reserve, and you produce with wind power plant. So it's a kind of stock energy. That's what we're trying to do. And it's another thing good here is our reserve of water. One project like that, it's good for producing energy, and it's good for stocking water, because we are seeing in Portugal, like in the rest of the world, but certain regions is different. But in Portugal now we have no water. Don't rain in Portugal for 9 to 10 months already, and we have problems with that. With that dam, we can have water to agriculture and to the people, and we can produce energy also. It's finished, yes.
No. One more? Okay. Just to show you one of our products. No, one more slide. This is the numbers of, this is our problem, 8 million euros of investment. It's our problem. That's why we are stopping this project. And this is another project that we have. It's Intelligent Energy Europe program concerning to make our municipality action energy plan. Okay. So thank you. Sorry for an editing in English, but we expect that you have.
Thank you.